Hey Tim, hey Moritz. My name is Dempsey Pulot. I am doing this interview for an outlet called Film Speak. I had the chance to check out the film last night for the first time. I regret not seeing it so much sooner. It is so good. Um,
Thank
I,
you. Thank
as
you.
you no, of course, of course. As you heard, I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to try and rush
Yeah.
all these great questions for you. My first is obviously the most obvious. Where did you guys get the idea to not only tell this story, but to tell it from the perspective of ABC, the news organization? Like, especially in a time where like everybody's kind of like fatigued with media, you found some way to make it still exciting.
I think it was just possible because we were so excited when we found out in research because in the beginning we researched very broadly. We researched the police files, the politician side that was involved that day. Then we found out that it was a crucial day in media history and a turning point. And then when we thought like, okay, maybe we have to get more into that, and then we set up a meeting with the real Jeffrey Mason, the character played by John Magaro, and it was just a Zoom call scheduled for maybe a half an hour, but it took over 2 hours because the way Jeffrey Mason talked about his 22 hours was so interesting and detailed, and we had so many questions. And then Tim and I thought, okay, those questions they had to ask themselves that day and those obstacles, that is really something we can relate to as filmmakers. And we went deeper down into that research, and then we said, well, maybe this is not just like the topic, maybe it's the perspective as well. Maybe we are in that room and we won't leave that room again.
And I want to add what you said. I think that is right. We are maybe fatigued or overwhelmed by our rapidly evolving media landscape that we're surrounded with today, right? And in a way, a starting point of that area, in a way, was Munich 1972, because even before this tragedy happened, it was this turning point in media history because it was the first time that everything was designed for optimal TV coverage. The Germans, on the first Olympics in Germany since 36, they wanted to provide or send out to the world a new image of the new liberal Germany. And for that, they had cameras everywhere. And it was also the first time that an Olympics could be broadcast live globally. And then suddenly this whole apparatus switched from reporting on these serene games, as the Germans called it, to this crisis. And it was the first time that an act of this nature was a global live television event.
That's crazy. I didn't know that part, that it was the first time this is going to be broadcast worldwide. And it's probably, I mean, there's no way to tell now, but why this was targeted for such a devastating event. Now I work in news. That's my full-time job when I'm not doing this stuff. So I was such a nerd when like the scene where CBS asks ABC to like share their feed and they put the bug in the corner to make sure that it's like
Yeah.
copyrighted. Or the ending with John Magaro's character where he's grappling with this internal desire to be first. But the one important thing in journalism, I mean, and you guys know, especially as filmmakers, is it important to be first or right? Wait a little bit longer to get stuff confirmed. So I was just geeking out. I was like, oh my God, I totally get this stuff. This is so like you made news invigorating. I cannot emphasize that enough. You answered part of my next question already, saying that you interviewed the person that John Magaro's character is based on. And you had access to so much archival footage, which is very evident in the movie. But was there any other elements or details from what happened that day that you had access to? I think you mentioned police records, but talk to me about like the full scope of your research. What did you have access to? What didn't you have access to?
Well, I think once we decided on telling the media side, we found out that almost everybody involved that day, every journalist wrote something about it because I think it was a life-changing event for everybody. And so there were a lot of biographies there. There were also very like a lot of scientific papers. And there was, for example, the head engineer, Joe Meltz, who designed the studio lot. He wrote a book about the Olympics. He wrote a book about the studio
The
lot was
technical setup.
designed,
Yeah.
yeah, the technical setup. But he was the guy who wrote, and it was just one sentence when he said, and then we had to get in the logo because they want to like share the feed, and we thought, what? I mean, that was, and we made it, obviously we made it like a plot point because it was, everybody now knows that and is used to it, but they kind of invented stuff that day that maybe got lost after that, but they improvised minute by minute. I mean, even in the morning when Jeffrey Mason decided to roll out one of the studio cams to get a live shot. That was never done before. So Tim and I are kind of a little bit like geeks when it comes to the technical aspect as well. So we really try to find anything about how it was done, like photographies, for example, how they made the titles with that little letters. We found that out about like on one photo, right, Tim? I think we found one photo where we saw that for the
Yeah,
first
we
time.
saw how it was made. And then we also talked to a lot of people that were still working in that room. Because for us, beyond it, Moritz is right, we are a little bit geeks when it comes to that. But for us, beyond it being a visual gimmick, the technical apparatus is almost another character of the ensemble. Because, of course, our movie is also about how technology has an influence on the media, and in that sense, has an influence on how we perceive the world around us, or politics, geopolitics also through the media. So we wanted that to give today's audience a feeling of the analog world of back then. But I think, and you just confirmed it, the interesting thing is that even though technology obviously has changed, the questions, the bigger questions, being first or being right, are still exactly the same that are being discussed in today's newsrooms. And I want another source of research was that I actually went with John Magaro to control rooms of today's sports broadcasts, just to see how these dynamics are there, how people talk to each other, how the mannerisms are, how the apparatus works. And we went so far that even partly I was also in Germany in these sports broadcast rooms. And if there was someone I would thought like, oh, this guy could actually be from the 70s and he has these cool moves going on, we asked him if he would be part of our shoot, because even if it's just in the background, you feel if these people are, if they know what they're doing or not.
That was very smart on your part to do that, because I imagine you probably had a bunch of questions about whether or not a lot of these sports rooms still have the same equipment. Which when I worked at a couple of newsrooms already, and I can tell you that a lot of the modern newsrooms still use a lot of the old equipment, and they have a lot of the
Yeah,
tape safe stuff like that.
yeah,
So kudos for doing that. That's actually really brilliant. Obviously, I was not alive when this happened. The first time I actually heard about the story was with Steven Spielberg's Munich. Um,
yes.
my next question, you guys tell it from like the opposite angle, which is like I said, is brilliant. But the Olympics don't have a way, to my recollection, that they honor this every year. So talk to me about like the importance of making a film, but also making a framework so that people never forget, or like the importance of making sure that people never forget by keeping this in like the societal rear view, if that makes sense.
You have to know that I was born and raised in Munich, so this story and the events were all like always very present to me. And my parents were born and raised in Munich too. They were exactly the age that Leonie Benesch's character has, Marianne Gebhardt. So the high hopes this young German generation put in these games, these serene games, that was something that we really wanted to provide as a context there. And I think it has. We screened the movie to German politicians as well, and they're very interested in this topic. They actually founded, I think Tim, right? They founded a task force, the German Interior Minister, to find out really and once for all what really happened that day, and
This
how
is
many
still going
levels.
on as we speak.
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
yeah.
and
Because
they
it's
really want
still
to.
not
Yeah.
100% clear. Sorry.
No. But they really, I mean, that's the point. They really want to find out on how many levels Germany failed that day. So that whole event is still very present in Germany. I think that they really want to get it right this time to find out what really happened there.
Wow, that's incredible. I had no idea. And I guess it makes sense because you guys, as you capture in the film perfectly, I think it did not look like they were prepared, the German authorities, for this that day. So that is very interesting. Um, I think that's all the time that I have, unless you guys have something else you want to say about the film that you think people should know. I know it's on digital now.
Just want to say I know I've seen the bonus material and it's awesome. I would just encourage people to see the bonus materials because I myself I learned so much from for my movie making from watching bonus materials back then. It's I think it's something that got a little bit lost. So I think you can explore there more. You can see how production designer Julian Wagner and his team built that set with all these devices, even that they could still work, so that the cast could interact with it. You see interviews with the real Jeffrey Mason. That's the character actually that inspired the whole movie to happen. That character played by John Magaro. So it's really interesting to explore.
Thank you guys so much. I
Thank
cannot
you,
wait to
thank
see what
you.
you guys do next. Honestly, something else
Yeah,
just
we're
invigorating.
yeah, we're also curious.
Yeah, but congratulations on the film, and
Thank
yeah,
you, Dempsey.
have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You
Thank you.
too. Thank
Thank you.
you.